Let me ask you something. Have you ever been hurt by someone you trusted, someone you gave your heart to, only to have them take it for granted? It's a gut punch, isn't it? And in that moment, the natural reaction is to fight for them, to seek answers, to prove your worth. But what if I told you that's exactly what you shouldn't do? Because here's the truth. When someone hurts you, they expect you to react. They expect tears, anger, desperation. But the moment you refuse to play that game, the moment you respond in a way they never saw coming, that's when everything shifts. So today, I'm going to show you exactly how to flip the script. How to take back your power, control your emotions, and leave them wondering what just happened. Because when you stop reacting, when you rise instead of breaking, you don't just heal, you become unstoppable. Let's dive in. Pain. It's something we all try to avoid. It's uncomfortable, it's raw, it makes you question everything, your worth, your choices, your strength. And when someone you love inflicts that pain, it cuts deeper than anything else. It shakes you. It makes you feel like you're standing in the wreckage of something you thought was unbreakable. But here's what most people don't realize. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is power, if you know how to use it. Think about it. Every time in your life that you've truly grown, truly evolved, truly stepped into another level of yourself, was it during the easy moments? Or was it during the ones that tested you? The ones that forced you to dig deeper, to find strength you didn't know you had, to rise when you felt like you had nothing left. Pain is the greatest teacher. It strips away the illusions, the fantasies, the false securities, and leaves you face to face with the truth. And in that truth, there is power. The problem is, most people don't know how to harness it. They let pain consume them instead of fuel them. They let it define them instead of refine them. They sit in it, drown in it, replay the same story over and over again, asking why me instead of what now. But the moment you shift that perspective, everything changes. Pain can break you or it can build you. It can make you bitter or it can make you unstoppable, and the choice is yours. See, pain is energy, and energy is never destroyed, it's only transferred. So what are you transferring your pain into? Are you turning it into power, or are you letting it turn you into someone you're not? Are you using it to build an unshakable version of yourself, or are you wasting it on proving something to someone who doesn't even deserve a second thought? When someone hurts you, they think they've won. They think they've taken something from you. But what if instead of breaking down, you turn that pain into the very thing that makes you untouchable? What if instead of letting it weaken you, you used it to rebuild yourself into someone stronger, wiser, more powerful than ever before? What if every time you felt that sting, that ache, that betrayal, you used it as a signal to level up, to become the person that could never break again? Pain is fuel. Pain is clarity. Pain is the fire that burns away everything that's not real. Your insecurities, your fears, your need for approval, and leaves behind nothing but the strongest, most unshakable version of you. The moment you realize that, the moment you stop resisting pain and start using it, you become something. When someone hurts you, there's a script they expect you to follow. It's predictable. It's the same story they've seen play out time and time again. You get emotional, you react, you try to fix it, you chase answers, seek closure, and fight to make sense of why they did what they did. And in doing so, you give them exactly what they want: power, control, the satisfaction of knowing they got to you. But what if, instead of playing into that script, you flipped it? What if you responded in a way they never saw coming? See, people hurt others for a reason. Sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's careless, but either way, it often comes from a place of ego. They want to feel important. They want to feel like they matter, like they have some kind of hold over you. Even if they don't realize it consciously, their actions are designed to provoke a reaction to get something out of you, whether it's validation, attention, or the reassurance that they still have a place in your heart. But the moment you refuse to give them that, that's when the dynamic shifts. Imagine expecting a fire and being met with ice. Imagine pushing someone to break only to watch them stand taller than ever. Imagine walking away thinking they'll come running only to realize they never even looked back. That kind of response is powerful. That kind of response is unforgettable. That kind of response is what leaves them questioning everything. So how do you reverse the script? You start by doing the one thing they never thought you would. You disengage. You stop explaining yourself. You stop proving your worth. You stop reacting with emotion and instead respond with complete indifference. No anger, no desperation, no chasing, just silence. And silence, my friend, is louder than any argument you could ever have. Then you shift your focus entirely, not on them, not on what they're thinking or feeling, not on whether they miss you or regret their actions, but on you, on your growth, on your healing, on becoming the version of yourself that no longer even resonates with the person who hurt you. Because the truth is, when you elevate, when you step into a new level of confidence and self-respect, you don't just confuse them, you render them irrelevant. People only expect you to react in ways that serve their ego. They expect you to hold on, to dwell, to keep the connection alive through pain and anger. But when you move differently, when you rise instead of break, when you evolve instead of engage, when you show them that they no longer have access to your energy, everything shifts. Suddenly they're the ones questioning themselves. Suddenly they're the ones replaying every interaction, trying to figure out what happened, why you didn't follow the script, why their actions didn't shake you. Because nothing is more unsettling than realizing that the person you thought you had control over doesn't even see you the same way anymore. Nothing is more disorienting than realizing that the power you thought you had is gone. And nothing is more confusing than watching someone you expected to fall rise higher than ever before. There's a moment right after someone hurts you when your emotions are screaming for release. Your mind is racing, your heart is pounding, and every instinct tells you to react, to lash out, to demand answers, to make them feel the same pain they just inflicted on you. And that's exactly where most people lose it. Not because they're weak, but because they let their emotions take control instead of mastering them. And when you react, you hand over your power. You let them dictate how you feel, how you think, and what you do next. But when you control your emotions instead of letting them control you, you become something they never expected, unshakable. Most people don't realize that their emotional reactions are predictable. If someone ignores you, you reach out. If someone insults you, you defend yourself. If someone walks away, you chase. It's a cycle. One that people use to manipulate, to test boundaries, to see just how much control they have over you. And if they know exactly which buttons to push to get a reaction, they own you. They don't even have to try hard. A simple text, a dismissive look, a few words, and suddenly you're spiraling. But what happens when you break that pattern? when you don't respond how they expect, when you don't react at all. See, emotional mastery isn't about suppressing your feelings. It's about channeling them in a way that serves you, not them. It's about recognizing that your emotions are energy, and energy should never be wasted on people who don't deserve it. The moment you stop reacting emotionally, you stop being predictable. You stop being controlled. You stop being a pawn in someone else's game. And that's when everything changes. Think about the last time someone hurt you. Maybe they pulled away. Maybe they said something cruel. Maybe they made you feel invisible. What did you do? Did you try to fix it? Did you get defensive? Did you react out of pain, hoping to make them understand what they had done? Now imagine if you had done nothing. Imagine if you had simply observed without responding, without chasing, without giving them the satisfaction of knowing they affected you. Imagine if, instead of reacting, you simply sat with your emotions, processed them, and let them fuel your next move. A move based on strength, not pain, because the truth is, people expect a reaction. They expect you to break, to lose control, to validate their importance in your life by how much they can affect you. But when you hold your ground, when you stay calm, when you make decisions from a place of clarity instead of emotion, you become untouchable. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to regain control. They don't know how to reach you anymore because you've elevated beyond their ability to manipulate you. Emotional mastery is the highest form of power. It's what separates those who are easily played from those who run the game. It's what allows you to turn every painful situation into an opportunity to grow, to evolve, to rise. The moment you learn to sit with your emotions instead of reacting to them, you stop being a victim of other people's actions. You stop seeking validation from the very person who hurt you. You stop needing closure, explanations, or apologies. You become your own source of strength, and nothing, absolutely nothing, is more powerful than that. When someone hurts you, there's a natural urge to respond, to prove a point, to make them feel what you're feeling, to lash out in a way that forces them to recognize the damage they've caused. But here's the brutal truth. Reacting in anger, resentment, or revenge doesn't heal you. It doesn't fix anything. All it does is keep you tethered to the very person who caused you pain. The more you engage, the more you lose yourself in the process. And every second you spend trying to make them see your worth is a second you could have spent becoming someone they'll never have access to again. That's why the smartest move, the only move, is to level up instead of lashing out. See, lashing out feels good in the moment. It gives you a sense of release, a temporary high. Maybe you send that long, angry text, spill your emotions in a voicemail, or try to make them jealous by showing off with someone new. But then what? What happens when the anger fades? What happens when you realize they still don't care the way you want them to? What happens when all your energy, all your passion, all your focus has been wasted on someone who has already moved on? That's when the emptiness hits. That's when you realize that the real way to win, the real way to take back your power is to grow beyond them. Not for them, not to prove anything, but for yourself. Because nothing stings more than realizing the person they hurt didn't just survive, but thrived. Nothing confuses someone more than watching you transform into someone stronger, happier, more successful, and completely detached from the pain they once inflicted. People expect you to stay the same. They expect you to sit in heartbreak, to replay the past, to stay emotionally stuck in the version of yourself that loved them. But when you shift, when you turn that pain into progress, when you build something incredible out of the ashes of what they destroyed, They don't just lose you, they lose the chance to ever reach the new upgraded version of you. So how do you level up? You start by shifting all that energy you once poured into them back into yourself. You redirect every ounce of love, every bit of effort, every drop of passion into becoming the person you were always meant to be. You hit the gym not out of revenge, not to make them regret leaving, but because strength is built from pain and movement is healing. You dive into your goals not to distract yourself, but to prove to yourself that your life is bigger than one heartbreak. You refine your mind, your habits, your routines, not to impress them, but to step into a version of yourself that you can look in the mirror and be proud of. And when you do this, when you level up in silence, without the need for validation, without trying to rub it in their face, that's when the shift happens. Because while they're expecting drama, you're building discipline. While they're expecting tears, you're creating transformation. While they're moving on to the next distraction, you're becoming the kind of person they will one day wish they had never lost. There's a reason they say success is the best revenge, not because it's about them, but because it's about proving to yourself that their absence didn't break you, it built you. Because in the end, the greatest response to being hurt isn't anger, isn't retaliation, isn't proving anything to them. It's growth, it's evolution. It's becoming so focused, so powerful, so unshakable that one day when they look back, they don't even recognize the person you've become. There is something unsettling about indifference. It's quiet, it's cold, it carries no emotional weight, no reaction, no attachment. And that's exactly why it's so powerful. Most people think hate is the opposite of love, but it's not. Hate is still emotional. Hate still means you care. Indifference, though, that's what truly shakes a person to their core. Because when you reach a point of complete detachment, when their words, their actions, their presence or absence no longer stir anything inside you, that's when they lose all control over you. And nothing is more confusing, more disorienting, more devastating than realizing that someone who once cared no longer does. See, when someone hurts you, they expect a reaction. Whether it's anger, sadness, pleading, or bitterness, they expect something, because that something means they still matter to you. It means they still occupy space in your mind, in your heart, in your life. And as long as you're reacting, as long as you're engaging, even if it's in pain, they still have power over you. But the moment you pull that power back, the moment you stop showing any sign that they affect you, that's when everything changes. That's when they start questioning, start doubting, start wondering why their presence or absence no longer impacts you the way it used to. But here's the thing. Indifference isn't something you can fake. You can't just pretend to be unbothered while secretly checking their social media, replaying old conversations in your head, or hoping for a reaction from them. That's not indifference, that's suppression. And suppression is just another way of staying emotionally tied to someone. True indifference isn't forced, it isn't calculated, it's the natural result of healing, of growing, of realizing that your life is too valuable to be consumed by someone who no longer deserves a place in it. And the way you get there isn't by distracting yourself, isn't by seeking revenge, isn't by proving anything to them, it's by shifting your focus entirely. It's by recognizing that the time and energy you once gave them now belong to you. It's by filling your life with so much purpose, so much passion, so much self-respect that they fade into irrelevance, not because you tried to forget them, but because they simply no longer fit in the reality you've created for yourself. Indifference isn't passive. It's not about ignoring someone while secretly hoping they notice. It's an active state of moving forward, of evolving past the need for validation, of recognizing that their role in your story has ended. And once you reach that point, once their name no longer stirs emotion, once their actions no longer hold weight, once their presence or absence makes no difference in your world, that's when you've won. That's when you've truly taken your power back. Because the real victory isn't making them feel what you felt. It's making them realize that what they did, what they said, what they meant no longer matters. At the end of the day, power isn't in your reaction, it's in your transformation. The moment you stop chasing, stop explaining, stop proving yourself to someone who didn't value you is the moment you shift the entire dynamic, because the real confusion doesn't come from anger or retaliation. It comes from your silence, your elevation, your ability to walk away without looking back. When you refuse to play the game, when you no longer give them the emotional response they expect, they're left wondering why they no longer affect you, wondering if they ever really mattered, wondering how the person they thought would break has only become stronger, wiser, and more powerful, and by then it's too late, because you've already won, not by proving anything to them, but by proving everything to yourself.